Welcome to Chicago Bears Huddle podcast with me, your host Owen James, your UK take on all things Chicago Bears. Guys, Coach Ben Johnson has just finished speaking to the media. Also scheduled that Grady Jarrett, who's currently speaking to the media. Kevin Byard will also speak to the media today. Gotta say, Ben Johnson, you gotta love the guy. His enthusiasm, he's just got a spark about him. He really genuinely has. He has just personality. He has just an incredible kind of just vigor to what he does in everything he does. At times sharing a joke with the media, at times kind of going, kind of trying to be funny, other times being very serious. And I think, his message is clear. His message is clear. Intensity, aggression, get it right. That's the focus. And I think one of the big things that's kind of come out of the OTAs today has been the fact that when the guys have made mistakes, Coach Johnson has got up in their faces. He has been aggressive with it. He has been agitated with mistakes, and he has made guys realize that they are making mistakes and what they need to do to put those mistakes right. And that's the right way to be. You cannot allow mistakes to fester. You cannot allow people to make those mistakes and not correct those behaviors, cannot correct those mistakes. If they are stupid, coachable mistakes, they need to be put right. And Coach Johnson has quite clearly shown that he is there and he is not messing, and he is very much accentuating the positive and accentuating being the best. And that is the best for this organization. When you've got a coach like that, who demands of the best, who will not take any nonsense and will make sure that the best is all you're going to get. That is going to be excellent for this organisation. And Coach Johnson today certainly showed that in his media availability. He talked about this being the third phase of the preseason. He talked about the fact that the guys had put in a lot of hard work in the gym. He talked about the fact that as a team he felt that the Bears were bigger, faster, stronger, more aggressive. And I certainly think that that is a very positive thing to bring to training camp, and certainly started about the OTAs, then into training camp, and then into the NFL season. He said it was good to have the guys on the grass working out and get them together. He said that there had been mistakes made, and he said they were all learning points, and they would be putting those mistakes right, and they would be, correcting those mistakes. I think he talked about the fact that this was the time to make those mistakes. Certainly if you're going to give up penalties, you're going to make mistakes, do it in training camp, do it in OTAs, and then the coaches can coach it in the right way and bring it back around. And he talked very, very positively about the coaching staff, about the fact that Dennis Allen, that Eric Bieniemy, that JT, that Press, that Declan Doyle were all there. They were ready to go. They were really focused. They were bringing it on. And I think, that is positive. And I think the coaching staff does have this air of positivity about it, this can-do attitude. And hopefully, obviously, that is transmitting now to the players and transmitting, to how they need to play and how they need to have that can-do positive mindset. And certainly just been watching Grady Jarrett and listening into Grady Jarrett, it certainly seems that is getting through even to an NFL veteran like Grady Jarrett, who's been there, seen that, bought the t-shirt as a player. Obviously, the topic of Caleb was brought up. Now, it was Ben Johnson who first brought up the topic of Caleb Williams and those comments. He said he was aware that the quarterback had been in the media in the run-up to this, and he wanted to get out in front of it. He was very clever in what he said, really showing a kind of intelligence there. He said that he couldn't speak of what was here last season or what it was like last season. He said he could only speak of how he has found Caleb as a man and as a player. He's talked about the fact that they are developing a good rapport, that there is a trust developing between them, there is a respect developing between them. And he talked about how hard Caleb has worked and how Caleb has put in the effort. I think was very, very clever of Coach Johnson to kind of bring that up and, to kind of trying to defer what happened in the past, talk about, well, that's the past. I can't comment on the past. I wasn't here. That's not for me to comment on. I can only comment on what I see now, on how I see now, on what I see from Caleb now. And that is very positive. And, not only is that good for Bears fans to hear, it's also, I think, going to be good for Caleb to hear that your head coach is not going to be holding anything against you, that he is very much looking to the future, that he is very much seeing this as a long-term project and seeing you as being there for the long haul. I think, that is exceptionally positive on that aspect. He said the more time they got to work together, the better for the both of them. And I think, given the comments that were made, given the comments that were made, by Caleb. I think the fact that Coach Ben Johnson has spoken very much about the fact that he finds him, that he finds him positive, that he finds him having this very good mindset towards the Bears, towards being a Bear. I think is going to be good for him, and it's also good for Caleb to know that your head coach is behind you, that he's backing you fully no matter what. He said he was focusing on the here and now, not on the past, and like I said, that's what you want to hear as a fan, as a player, as a coach, as well as part of the coaching organization, that your head coach is focusing on the here and now, not the past. We all have made mistakes in our past. We have all made huge errors in our past, and it is up to us to put those right. And I'm sure with Ben Johnson, a very offensive, very intense, very much demanding, positive, can-do, winning mentality kind of guy, that will hopefully bring the best out of Caleb Williams, and that is definitely the man to be. He talked as well about the fact that the coaches obviously were working hard with the offensive staff and working hard with Caleb, and obviously JT Barrett was helping out. But he also spoke about Case Keenum, obviously the Bears veteran backup, or veteran number 3, depending on whether you're obviously a Bajent fan or not. He spoke about the fact that Case Keenum was a valuable mentor and provided a valuable link between coach and player. I think obviously Case Keenum brings vast NFL experience, played for a number of franchises throughout the years, obviously most notably Minnesota, Denver, for example. But the fact that he's had such experience and worked with so many different types of coaches, and obviously been privy to so many different types of coaching. Obviously, Case Keenum will be getting coached now, but that's obviously, the fact that he can work with those young quarterbacks like Tyson Bagent, like Caleb Williams, for instance, and kind of help to provide a link between the coaches and Caleb and obviously the rest of the staff. And I think that's a very, very good point that was made by Coach Ben Johnson. Coach Ben Johnson was asked about the fact that he said that you seem to be getting very agitated out there. Ben Johnson went, "Can I? Did I?" and kind of laughed about it. And then he spoke about the fact that he wanted to work on that. He's asked the players not to show agitation or being worked up on the field, and he would certainly work on that himself, not showing it as much. But I think it is a positive that he has got that. Oh man, when things go wrong, and getting up in people's faces and letting them know, not acceptable. It's about setting a ground rule, isn't it? It's about setting a line in the sand, knowing that this is the expectation. You do not cross that expectation. You do not fall below that expectation. And I think Grady Jarrett, in his press availability, talked about the standard being the standard. And I think obviously that being a very high standard that Coach Ben Johnson is setting, and he wants everybody to kind of move up to that standard. And if you fall below it, like we saw with Eric Bieniemy in rookie minicamp, you get told that you are making a big error and you must put it right. They don't accept failure. That is the big thing for me. And I think, coming out of this, that's something we do need to kind of take as a huge positive from this one. The fact that, like I said, the practice has been described as a positive practice, has been described so positively, I think it is very, very much good. Very, very good indeed. It's good. It's good. It's very good indeed. And, interesting point from what Grady Jarrett said as well. Grady Jarrett talked about the fact that, in his opinion, Gervon Dexter has a very high ceiling. Good to hear from a veteran that Gervon Dexter is so highly rated as well. But overall, I think, if you go onto the Bears website, you pick up and watch this media availability from Coach Ben Johnson, you can't help but be impressed with the guys' positivity, the guy's intensity, the guy's demand for the very best, and the way he dealt with the Caleb Williams stuff was absolutely outstanding. Well done, Coach Johnson. Guys, I'd love to know your thoughts on it. If you've watched it, let me know. Thank you for watching the Chicago Bears Huddle podcast. Guys, if you've enjoyed the content, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Let's bear down. Catch you later, Chicago.